All righty. So qualifiers and tie downs. So, we have an explanation here of qualifiers and tie downs that we've been utilizing. It's pretty much to ask them questions to define their desires, so to speak, and to get them to commit somewhat now to a soft close, to later to closing on the actual deal. The whole point of everything we're doing is to get an appointment and move the client forward. We've gone over that with the 15-second commercial as well. Show, don't explain. Under no circumstances after delivering your commercial are you launching a verbal explanation of the product. As long as I've been doing this, we call that verbal suicide, and it is verbal suicide. I don't care how well you think you know this product. Your 15-second commercial is designed to be 15 seconds, so you're not giving them too much information. The analysis is asking questions to fill in data. You do not, I cannot emphasize enough how much you do not want to launch into trying to explain how you input data or how the program operates or the intervals it's telling you to pay down debt or the strategy that's involved and how that goes. Please, if somebody really wants to understand how that works, learn how to do a demonstration. It does the talking for you. You can have brief explanations, but if you're giving brief explanations and you're not filling in the blanks and you're leaving out pieces of the logic stream, people will be much more skeptical of it. People will tend to be a little bit more standoffish. So again, I need to emphasize, use the tools that are in place, use the videos, use the demo for people that are very technical. And I get this question a lot as well. On the demonstration, can we put in the client's numbers? Well, yes, you can, but that is incredibly time-consuming to wipe out the fields that are already there, put in the client's numbers, and then run it through there. Now, if you put the client's numbers in, I want you to know there are some hard sets in the demo account, so you can't just leave the client's information in there. It'll reset. So the other piece of that is learning what you have at your disposal is just as important as learning your sales track and learning what piece of your tools or what tool you can pull out of your toolbox at what time that you can use in that sales process will help you be better at what you do and how you come across to the client. The whole idea behind sales track is qualifying your prospect, qualifying their desire. Have they ever done anything like this? Are they willing? Are they willing to use the program? Are they willing or in a position now where they will use a debt management system? We're going to find out just these can be some of your qualifying questions that you're asking the client, and in fact they truly are qualifying questions. It's imperative to your sales track process. This is soft closing or tie down methodology. This is making small statements that kind of commit the client, and we'll get into those in just a moment. A soft close is designed to lead the prospect in a certain direction. In all cases, the soft close objective is to get the prospect to softly commit now and to tie down later in the sales process for the closing. It's things you're going to remind the client of. It's things that you talked about. If you're using this methodology, you should be taking notes, or you should have a very good memory for what was important to your client. This is how you're going to build your value propositions. This is how you're going to tailor your presentation towards their needs. This is how, even in the demonstration, if they're telling you what's important to them, how you can actually reveal that through a demonstration of the product. So do know that whether you call it soft close, tie downs, qualifiers and tie downs, qualifiers, soft tie downs, they're all pretty much intermingled because it's an organic conversation and you're saying things throughout it. Well, if I could show you how to do that, would there be any reason you wouldn't want to do this with me? Or if it only took us 10 minutes to go through and show you, or 15 minutes to go through and show you what the program could do for you, would that be something that you would be willing to do? Your appointments process, there is a great example of soft closes. You know, giving them two choices is another soft close. Would you rather pick A or B? If I could give you Monday or Tuesday, which day would be better, mornings or evenings? What would be better? Okay, if we have the mornings, would 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. be better? So everything that you do throughout your process is qualifying this client and moving them in little directions and getting little commitments from them throughout the whole process, and then asking the stronger questions as you get deeper into the process. You know, are you aware that you're going to spend $194,000 in interest just on your mortgage over the next 28 years? What if you could save $25,000? What if you could save $30,000? What if you could save $40,000? What would that look like for you? Some initial qualifying questions. Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a home? Is it free and clear? Is it paid for? Do you have debt? Do you have multiple debts? I want to add a bunch to this. Another qualifying question that you can ask a client is, have you ever tried a debt elimination program? And I want to do this real quick. I'm going to bring Darlene on, and I'm going to bring Joan on. And let's go with Joan.
Hello.
All right. Do we have both of you all on the phone?
Hello.
We do.
All right. Somebody's echoing. That's all right, though. Okay. So qualifying questions like this: do you have a mortgage? Do you have a home? Is it free and clear? Is it paid for? Do you have debt? Do you have multiple debts? Have you ever tried a debt elimination program? Have you ever been on a budget? Darlene, can you think of a couple qualifying questions that you ask clients, just basics, like what we have here, short ones?
Well, I ask some of these. I do ask, what are you looking for? They say, I want to erase debt. Exactly how? And I ask them to admit what they're wanting to do. I don't want curiosity. I want people that want to get out of debt. So, right, no tire kickers, my husband said. But yeah, so when I'm thinking of these things, I kind of just get a general statement that I will say, you know, I do it on every call that I'm doing analysis. So I'm not sure that's what you're asking. Of course, do you have debt is my main thing. And then I go into
okay, but I mean, do you ever ask them any other questions that are just, have you ever asked somebody if they have ever tried a debt program, or if they've ever tried to get out of debt before, or if they don't like their current debt situation, or what are they trying to accomplish?
Well, yeah, what are they trying to accomplish? I honestly, I don't think I've ever asked anybody if they've used another debt program. But I do ask them, what are they looking for, you know, in their financial situation? Because once I get out of them that they have a mortgage or they have this, I'll go to the next stage. But they have to give up some information to let me know where they're trying to head. Like I said, I'm not looking for a curious person. I want someone that wants action and being debt-free.
Gotcha. Okay, so Joan, in initial qualifying conversations, Darlene, I'm going to put you on mute here. Well, it looks like you already went. All right, so Joan, qualifying questions that you have for clients. Can you throw off a couple?
I shouldn't say always, but I often ask 4 specific questions to start off with, somewhat similar to what you have on there, but I usually ask people, hey, do you have a mortgage? How much time is left on that debt? And I make sure I use the word debt instead of loan, because debt has a negative connotation, whereas loan doesn't, and a lot of people don't view their mortgage as a loan. So how many years do you have left on that debt? Don't you hate all that interest you're going to give away to that financial institution? Have you heard of the Worth Account program? I often ask those 4 questions because there's an art to asking questions, and my goal is to guide them down the path where I want them to go. And so if they say, no, I don't have a mortgage, I might follow it up with, well, do you have any other form of debt, any credit cards, student loans, auto loans, anything like that? And then continue down that path. I ask that specific question, don't you hate all that interest that you're going to give away to that financial institution? Because, again, it's a qualifying question. What if they say, no, I love giving away my hard-earned money? Well, I don't think they're a really good fit for our program. So that's a good way to qualify or disqualify for them. And, of course, have you heard about the Worth Account program? I'm trying to get them to ask what they want. Now, unlike Darlene, I actually have asked, and I often ask, what have you done in the past to pay down your debt? that tells me if they're really serious about whether or not they are interested in paying down debt. If they say no, then I'm really curious if they're just giving me lip service. Are they really just saying what they think I want them to hear or I want to hear just during our conversation? Because if they really are serious, they probably have done something in the past. And if they have done something, did it work? What did you do? How did it work? What didn't work? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What can we do to keep you on track? And then based on how they answer that, we just continue on with the conversation. I'm on the program, so I know what it's going to be able to do for them. So when I ask them, and I've done things myself, I've done the biweekly, I've spent extra money, I've refinanced to get a lower interest rate and paid a higher amount. I've done all of that. So I know that based on how they're using the program, how I can move them forward in the process asking those questions, if that makes sense.
Yep, it does. It makes perfect sense. And thank you very much for that. That was very concise. I have found for myself personally, and Joan, I'm going to go ahead and mute you and come back to you a little bit later in the call. I have found in my experience, the more questions you ask, and qualifying questions are a huge deal, and they're not just qualifying questions. Throughout your entire process, even when you're running an analysis, you're asking questions. The more questions you ask of your client and the more baseline information that you get back from them, the better it's going to assist you in preparing for your sales process and in preparing for dealing with the client individually. Once you ask a client a question, what you always want to remember is to be quiet. Allow that individual. People take differing amounts of time to process information. Not everybody is quick to respond. My wife is a prime example of somebody that takes, in my opinion, forever to respond. I am pretty quick to respond. My wife needs to chew on things. I asked her simply with a meeting that we had with someone. I said, what did you think of that individual in the meeting? And it took her a day to give me an answer. Not at the end of the day. It was the following day, and she's, do you still want to know what I thought? And, I want you to understand that in reality, yes, that's a lengthy amount of time. But when you're asking clients questions, don't rapid fire. Don't hit them with 5 or 6. Ask one question and see where the question takes you. Asking a question like, have you ever tried to get out of debt before? I can tell you that is a phenomenal question just from my own experience and who I have dealt with. What you hear from that particular question, the responses that I've gotten back. It's impossible. It's paycheck to paycheck. How does anybody get out of debt? Well, yeah, I already know how to get out of debt, but it's just sending a little bit extra money each month. Anytime you can glean a deeper understanding of your client and what is important to them, it's going to be to your benefit in your sales process. Negative responses, there's a couple different ideas or thoughts here for individuals I know in the sales game that get individual responses. You get the negative response. Well, sometimes the negative response is actually a challenge or an invite to go forward and give them more information, give them what they call buying information. Sometimes a negative response to what you're saying is just because they are skeptical. So it may take something along the lines of saying, I was skeptical at one time too, the feel, felt, found method. I was skeptical at one time, or I can understand your skepticism. I was skeptical at one time. I found through more research that this was real. This was something worth me looking into. So when we say negative, they go, I'm not even interested in that, or they give you just the shutdown complete. It's probably a good idea to, maybe shift the direction of the conversation. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to stop your process right there, but I think you have to use common sense with how strong is the individual coming back at you and telling you no, I really don't want to know anything about this, or did they respond to one of the questions that you asked, where they got uptight, where they felt uncomfortable. And there's a difference between being uncomfortable and shutting down, and you can tell that a question makes somebody uncomfortable, but they still want to talk about it. So don't necessarily take a negative response as a complete negative unless you're, evolving that conversation. Most people will know what I'm talking about here with negative response. Just take it very easy there if you get negatives. You don't want to muddy the waters. This is your first blush or initial conversations with someone, so especially if you're at like B&I meetings or things of that nature, or you've gone to clubs, or you're at a trade show, you don't ever want to appear too pushy. You want to come across very casual, very relaxed, smiling, not too intense, and more of an attitude that things are kind of open for discussion when you're at this stage of it. But you do have a process, and you need to bring the client into that process. Now, if your prospect does respond positively to what you're saying, just keep moving forward in your process with your tie downs and your qualifying questions. So if the individual came back and responded positively, would you like to, like, yeah, I'd like to know more about that, or wow, yeah, you show us how to how to increase our equity in a very short period of time, or make money in a down market, or whatever it was your 15-second commercial was, is where you're going to move down with your tie downs and your qualifiers. So now you're moving into, after you've asked some cursory questions like we saw there in the very beginning, well, if I could show you how to pay off that mortgage, would you want to take a meeting with me? If I could show you how to move through that process, would that be interesting to you? Would you like to pay your debts off sooner or later? What if I could show you or introduce you to a way to pay off your mortgage and other debts in 1/3 to 1/2 your current scheduled time? Would that interest you? Would you want to move forward with that? Would there be anything holding you back? But your conversation, okay, so if this individual came back at you and said, yes, I have tried debt elimination programs before, I did Dave Ramsey, I did this, what was your success rate with it? Why do you think you failed? Okay, if we could show you a system that you would not fail with, now here's the tie down. Okay, you tried Dave Ramsey, you tried this, you didn't have good success with it. If I could introduce you to a system that takes you step by step, that's actually manually inputting your own data, you're not doing it on cards or sheets or paper, you're moving it through a physical system that's going to tell you with prompts when to move money, how much money, and where to concentrate it. If you had something along those lines, would that be something that would interest you? So I want you to understand that the qualifiers and the tie downs, the deeper you can set the hook on the qualifier, the deeper you can set the hook on the tie down. So do you really want to get out of debt? On a scale of 1 to 5, where are you? I mean, you can use the litmus test throughout multiple periods of your conversation with the client. Well, what if I could show you how to free up the money, to be able to take that vacation or pay off your kids' college education? Where does that fall in your priority line, scale of 1 to 5? So you could actually build all of your value propositions off of the scale of 1 to 5. So 1 to 5, how important is it for you to pay off debt? How important is it for you to save that money? How important it is for you to do A, B, C? And then the tie down is, what if I could introduce you that way? Or if I had a program that would do that for you, would you be interested in learning more? Would you be willing to take an appointment? Would you be willing to take a meeting? Could we schedule that appointment and meeting today? See, everything you do in the sale, it's not a matter of being pushy, and I know I'm throwing a lot at you at this point, but it's really a matter of asking questions behind questions. Get the question out there, get an answer to the question, and ask another question, but always have a direction that you want to move the client. Always have an idea, and that is the whole idea behind your qualifying questions. Darlene came in and said, have you ever sent extra money? Yeah, see, that's a perfect example. Have you ever sent extra money to your debts? Well, yeah, I do. I currently do. How many people are currently doing that? Well, what if we could do this? What if with just that extra money you're sending, if we didn't calculate anything else, just the extra money, what if I could blow away your projections for when you're going to pay off debt if you just gave me those numbers? Would that interest you? Would there be anything stopping you from moving forward? See, when you're asking these questions to the client, you're always asking them and backing them up with, would you be willing to back that up? If I could, would you? If I could do this, would you do that? Feel, felt, found. I feel what you're saying. I've felt it before, but what I found was this. Benjamin Franklin, let's put it in the pros and cons. Litmus test, how important is it on a scale of 1 to 5? See, a lot of sales track is built just around your qualifiers and your tie downs that you're going to be doing with your client. It is such an integral part of what you're doing. Would you be better off today with the debt you have now or no debt at all? If you were debt-free today, how would that change your life? Let them answer. Let them dream a little bit. How would it change your life if you were debt-free today? I want each one of you to think about that for a second. How would it change your life if you were debt-free? Would you be better off today with the debt you have or the debt you, some questions you can ask, hey, how much money did you spend the last time you refinanced your home? Did that bother you? Did that irritate you? See, all of these questions are about digging deep into the client. You can ask very specific questions, like Darlene was saying, very broad, open questions in the very beginning. If somebody is brought to you, or it is somebody that you're closing the deal for, what are you expecting to get out of our first meeting? What are you looking to accomplish? But that's not really a question you can ask somebody when you're just first meeting them. When you're just first meeting them, it's what are you looking for, so to speak? What are you trying to, when it comes to the area of finance, what seems to be the most important to you? And through a series of questions, you can find that out without being intrusive. If you knew having no debt would be life-changing, and I could show you or introduce you to a way to pay off your mortgage and other debts 1/3 to 1/2 the scheduled time, would that interest you? Would you want to hear more about it? Would there be any reason you would not want to know more? Would there be any reason you would not want to move forward with me? Your qualifying questions and your tie downs is where you are building the first parts of your value proposition with your client as well. Now, once you've done an analysis and things of that nature, that's where things really become real for the client. But all the way up until this point, your qualifying questions and your tie downs are helping to build this value proposition. If I could show you a product that already has a system that is in place, that has a lateral market to what you're currently doing and has been very profitable for other businesses, would you want to take a meeting and learn more about that? Would there be anything standing in your way to taking a meeting? So when you're asking qualifiers and tie downs from individuals, what you are truly looking for is you are looking for the hooks. You are looking for the value propositions. And when you ask one of these questions, remember to be quiet and let them answer. Let them go through their process. What about finding a business, another product for your business is so important to you? Why are you looking in this direction? Why is building a small business important to you? Why are you looking at debt elimination? If it's somebody brought to your appointment, these are questions in that section. When this initial cursory conversations, you're asking questions to define, can I get an appointment? So you're really digging pretty heavy to try to find out what's important to them. And that's why I like that 15-second commercial of the situation and the solution. You know how here in the market space, so many people are ABC. You know how so many people send extra money to their bills every single month, and they do that to try to pay the bills off early? Now, I think most people can relate to that as being a situation. Well, I have been showing people how to redirect that money so that it is more effective for their debt elimination needs. There's a good little 15-second commercial. We've seen great success in this. Our company has helped pay off over $1 billion in principal. So qualifying questions and tie downs are extremely important to your process and how your client is going to perceive you. In closing, qualifying questions and tie downs are an integral part of setting up the sale and must be practiced. Do not be discouraged when you hit a wrong note, kick the ball in the wrong direction, or place paint in an area it was not intended to go. This is all part of the learning and practice process. As you develop your skill in the art, your outcome will improve. Just hang in there. Take notes. Learn from your mistakes. Get with the individuals that brought you in. Get with someone to mentor you. Go back. Listen to the recordings. Develop your 15-second commercial. Develop your qualifiers and tie downs. Try it out on your family in regular conversations, trying to find tie downs and qualifiers. I know that sounds unusual, but if you train your mind to it, you're probably doing it with your families already. It's just a matter of moving that over to a sales process that you can utilize and you can close it with that. So with that having been said, I am going to flip over to Darlene real quick and see if she has any closing comments. And let's go here.
Hi.
Darlene, any closing comments?
Well, there's something really quick on that last screen that you showed. One, you also said something that, when I hear certain words, it makes me think of other things, and maybe someone else thinks of these things also. When you say you're asking questions and it's kind of like getting the hook, you're looking for their trigger point. You're looking for what makes them get a rise out of them to move forward to get that appointment. So that's extremely important that you asking certain, they may seem just arbitrary questions, but you are trying to see what their expectations are. What is it that they want? Like I said, are they curious just to find out what you're all about and what you're asking, or do they really want to know what the future holds for them? And on the previous screen, I was trying to take a note on there, but I look at things as, people look at some things as stumbling blocks. I kicked the ball the wrong way, or I may have said the wrong thing, or that didn't come out quite right. Guys, all these things are not stumbling blocks. They're stepping stones to get you going in the right direction. But you got to try and do it, because the only way that you become a success are have these things that maybe don't go quite the way you want. So, hitting a wrong note or the ball in the wrong direction, stepping stones, guys. You will find your path. Thanks, Mac. You will find your path that will make you feel good. And you know what? It doesn't have to be the same with every single person you talk to. Change it up, fit it for that situation. And we say so many great things on these calls, meaning, Joan has great things. Mac brings out all these points that we really need to know. The more you hear it, the more it becomes second nature to you. So, and again, we are having these live meetings. I saw it earlier on the screen. But if you don't mind, let me just kind of give you guys just a little piece of what's on my mind today. Look how far you've come. Look how far you've come with all the things in your life and all the busy things that keep us moving and doing this, family, work, or whatever it is. Look how far you've come. So please, everybody, take a moment today to be thankful for all the good things in your life. Think of everything you've got and that you're doing and that you can accomplish. And then think of what you have in your hands to help the next person. We have something that other people want. We just can't be secret agents about it. We must share it. Think about your interests and your skills and how those interests and skills can help you build more powerful presentation. Your faith in yourself and what you can accomplish has got to be strong. So that belief level has to continue to build. And by attending these trainings and the live meetings, you're able to build more, to learn more, and to be able to share it with others. And so I appreciate opportunities where I can kind of share what's on my mind for a moment there. The things that you have in value, for example, Mac, right? The things we value in our life will increase. You have to share them, though. So I do want to take a moment to just say, everybody that's facing these tornadoes and hurricanes and storms that are coming through, please be safe. Listen, follow directions, but you know what? The phone will generally work. So you might know someone in another area that's not facing a hurricane. But with that, I do pray for you all and wish you the very best in what you're doing. We on the East Coast, for those of you that know, are looking at one hitting South Carolina and North Carolina in another day. So think about us over here, maybe getting a little wet. We'll be thinking about everyone out there, and come out to the meeting on Monday or send someone to the meeting on Monday. These are for you. These are for you and helping America get out of debt and build a future. Awesome. Matt, it's on you.
Darlene, thank you so much, and you will be in our prayers. I have family down in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is, they're not sure if it's going to landfall in Columbia or it's going to landfall in Wilmington.
Wilmington, direct. You're right.
Yep, North Carolina.
Right.
So anyway, you'll be in our prayers, and Harry, and just hope everything goes well. But you've been through this before. So, yeah, we know you'll be safe.
I'm not.
Yeah, I know. It's bad. It's bad. So we'll keep you in our prayers.
We'll be fine, though. Thank you all.
You're tough. Y'all are going to be fine.
I can't swim. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
All right, Darlene. Thank you so much.
You.
Let me go over to Joan here. All right, Dr. Joan, any closing comments from you?
Well, absolutely. Everybody that is in the path of all these storms are going to certainly be in our prayers as well. Really, the commercial is critical to start the conversation. That is absolutely imperative to have a very strong way to start that conversation. If you don't have a strong commercial, then nothing else happens because you're not going to capture somebody's attention. But the next most important thing are the questions. The questions are going to help you determine if and how you should continue with that conversation. It helps you to really get to know that prospect. So make sure you keep your agenda off the table. What's important to you is not necessarily important to them. Focus 100% on them and what's important to them. Use the questions to find out what's important to them. Find out what stories to tell, how to word your litmus test, how you're going to word the closing on setting that appointment in stone. It's going to tell you, it's going to give you clues as to how to close them. It's going to help you weed out people that are not a good fit. And really you can use questions to help guide people down a path, just like what I was talking about before. Remember also, when you say something, you're saying it because you're a salesperson. You're trying to get them to do what they want. But when the prospect says something, it's 100% truth. Use that to your advantage. You can ask questions to force people to say the positive things that you want them to say. Get them to say all the positive things about getting out of debt. Getting them to say all the negative things that haven't worked for them in the past and how they now need something to help them with their current situation. You can use the questions to help them sell themselves. But in order to do that, you do have to practice the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, they should be talking. 20% of the time, you should be talking. And the way to do that is to ask questions. The best advice I ever got, I got actually just a few months ago, believe it or not, I was told, ask questions and shut up. It's a rather crude training there, but it's so very true. Ask questions, then shut up. And be an active listener. My husband is very similar to Mac's wife in that when you ask my husband something, he is very cognizant that he wants to answer that question correctly. So he takes his time, and he may not even start to answer the question for quite some time as well. Give them that time. Give them that space. Just be quiet. Allow them to formulate that answer so that they can actually feel comfortable in what they're saying and confident in how they're responding and knowing that they're giving you the right answer. So just ask the question and shut up. Truly the best advice I ever had. Going back to the mistakes, we all make them. The reality is the person in front of you probably doesn't even know what you were going to say and has no idea that you even made a mistake. The reality is, though, you will learn a lot from the mistakes. You're going to learn more from any mistake that you made from any success that you have. as long as you take the time to look back at what worked, what didn't work, and make the changes accordingly. We all make mistakes. It's okay. In fact, we should be going out there and having a goal of getting out there to make mistakes every single day. The last thing I'm going to end with is I'm going to suggest that one thing that may be helpful is sitting down and writing down all the different questions. Re-watch this presentation. Max gave some phenomenal questions. Write down any and all questions that you can possibly think of that you could ask somebody. Obviously, you're not going to ask somebody every single question that comes to mind, but you want to be able to read that list of questions prior to your appointment so they're nice and fresh in your head and so that they come to you easily when you're actually sitting down in an appointment or when you're actually sitting down talking to somebody and trying to introduce them to Worth Unlimited. So write down the questions so that they're available to you and that they can be fresh in your head when you need them. You never know when you're going to need them. But most importantly, get out there and start making some of those mistakes. It's the best thing you possibly can do. Max?
All righty. Thank you, Dr. Jones. Thank you, Darlene. Thank everybody for being on the call. And I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening for the Worth Unlimited Agent Update and Sales Track Training for September 10th, 2018, qualifiers and tie downs. Let's get out there and do it big. Let's get out there and do it right. But at the very least, let's get out there and do something right now. This is Max Saunders saying bye-bye for now.